If the roof over your head was the only thing keeping you safe, what happens when it's gone? Who do you become on the other side of that door?
That's a heavy start. It lands right where fear lives. Identity and shelter all tangled together.
We lived in a tiny apartment that felt like a muscle memory. Coffee at the same chipped table, curtains closed before dusk, 2 identical copies of a novel on the shelf so our families wouldn't notice we shared a habit. Those details were the scaffolding of our quiet life.
Yeah, those little things mattered more than we let on. They were practice for being ourselves in private.
We had rules that started as protection and slowly became identity. Never mention holidays, text before anyone came over, keep receipts in a folder. Tiny compromises that felt like common sense until they didn't. I didn't know we were being braided into those compromises until the braid started to unravel.
Wait, receipts in a folder? Tell me more about that. I remember you insisting we keep everything together.
Yeah, it felt silly at first. Phone bills, rent stubs. But when we started to wonder who would believe us if anything happened, those receipts became proof. Proof of address, proof we existed together in a way that was defensible. It was practical and somehow also tender.
Small things carrying big weight. Classic. Okay, fast forward. How did the place actually go? Was it a paperwork error? A complaint? I remember there being blame. Who called who first?
The notice hit the door like a single wrong note. We found a stamped slip taped to the wood. Eviction for lease irregularities. The details blurred. Sometimes memory softens facts. But what I remember clear is adrenaline and the paper's small finality. You blamed the paperwork. I blamed being careless. We both blamed the world a little.
And I said, "Did you file the renewal?" And you said, "I thought you did." We stood there like 2 people dropping a hot plate. That was the sharp edge, this tiny administrative thing that cracked everything open.
Exactly. The argument wasn't about the form. It was about trust. It spiraled. Your worry about stability versus my weariness of hiding. I remember saying, if they know, then we don't have to hide anymore. And you almost choked on the possibility like it was poison and medicine at once.
That line, "we don't have to hide," I heard relief, but also fear. I wasn't ready to trade a roof for a brawl with our families. I wanted predictability. You wanted truth. We both had truth in our pockets. It just looked different.
The turning point wasn't the shouting. It was when we stopped arguing and sat on the kitchen floor and listed our needs. Not grand ideals, actual needs. Safety, money, one person who knows where we are. I wrote them down. A place to sleep tonight. Rent proof. One honest conversation with a friend. It felt like shopping for survival.
I remember that list. We treated it like a grocery run. You can't make dinner without eggs. You can't rebuild without clarity. Then we made a plan. For 3 months, we bounced between 2 friends' couches, no more than 2 weeks in one place. And every Sunday at 7 p.m., we did a 10-minute check-in. 1 minute each. What I did and what I need. It was small, but it was consistent.
And we set one daily, tiny task to keep dignity from unraveling. One person scans receipts each night and uploads them to a shared folder. One person answers landlord calls. One person handles work emails. We rotated. It sounds boring, but it proved something. Commitment doesn't always look like speeches. Sometimes it looks like a receipt named april.rent.pdf.
Those daily tasks were trust in action. I began to believe trust could be rebuilt by doing the small, boring things for each other every day. And our rituals changed. No longer jam on toast to hide a call, but jam because we decided to keep a little sweetness when everything else felt sharp.
If you're listening and you're sitting with that hollow after a loss, here are practical steps we used that you can try tomorrow. 1. Name the immediate needs aloud and write them down. 2. Pick one tiny daily proof you can commit to for a month. One task every day. 3. Protect your dignity by accepting offers of help, but keeping control of your story. 4. Schedule a short weekly check-in, 10 minutes with a timer where you both say one thing you did and one thing you need. Those actions gave us agency when everything felt stolen.
If you're thinking, I can't do that, I'm too tired, do the smallest thing. Text one friend. Put your name on one document. Make one plan. That little proof will break inertia. I promise. It's not about big heroics. It's about tiny consistency.
And to the person who fears exposure, who imagines losing more than a place, let yourself grieve. You can feel anger and relief at the same time. Make a 3-item plan. 3 people who could help. 2 safe nights you can arrange. 1 sentence to say when you need to explain yourself. I used to think bravery was dramatic. What I know now is bravery is waking up again. You're allowed to start small.
We need to say this clearly. We are not therapists. If this episode opens up a lot for you, please reach out to a professional, a hotline, or someone you trust. Therapy and local support services are tools, not weaknesses. If you feel unsafe, get to a safe place and call for help.
If this episode hit you, if you've ever lost a home or had to build one from receipts and rituals, comment, "I'm still here." It tells us you're surviving and lets someone else know they're not alone. Hit subscribe if you want more stories that don't flinch from the messy parts. Take a breath. You matter.
I hear ya. We've been there. You're not alone in that fight, or in the quiet after. We're Samnang and James, and this is SNJ Pride. We'll see you next time.